Never know.
No, he is actually stressing.
I'm well. Running low.
She said she was
Pull your microphones close to your
Good.
mouth.
How you doing?
just wearing like a pant. It's like a pantsuit, like skeleton, like it's black.
Well,
Yeah. So he likes
I need
to
to get me in the picture tonight instead of you. Oh, good. Okay, good. Okay, this is it.
Everybody ready here?
Yeah.
Okay. It's now 6:01 and I'd like to call the Spencer County Board of Education's regularly monthly meeting to order. Statement of board mission.
Is by working together students.
Thank you, Emma. I'd like to welcome all of our visitors that are here today. If anyone wishes to address the board, please pick up a form on the table as you came in the door and fill it out, give it to Michelle or to me. And now I'd like to move on. Whoops. Yes.
Did we adopt the agenda?
No, moving on to adopt the agenda now. Everybody's had a chance to review the agendas. Is there a motion to approve the October 28th, 2024 agenda? Aaron, do I have a second? Lynn, all in favor? Unanimous? Let's move on to recognitions. Dr. Foster.
Yes, I will ask Miss Binion to, she's got some pictures to put up on the screen. Oh, I just pushed the table. And got some gifts to take over here. But if you were not aware, the month of October each year is National Principals Month. We're very lucky in Spencer County to have some dedicated, passionate, strong principals leading each of our schools. And we did not do this last year, but we want to honor our principals this month with a Row the Boat Award. So Ms. Clevenger, if you would join me. First up, I see Mr. Jared Scott, so we'll go in no certain order. Well, actually, no, Jared, you gotta wait. I'm gonna go by the string. Mr. Bob Hafendorfer is not here tonight. He was up there first. He is feeling ill tonight. And I think after Bob is Miss Beth St. Bernard. Beth is in her first year back in Spencer County. She had previously done multiple roles, had been an assistant principal at TES with Mr. Rucker here at central office, moved on to Maryland, but came home this summer to take over our early learning center. Beth's done a fantastic job, so we appreciate your leadership at the ELC. There's your Row the Boat Award. You can do a group? Yeah, let's do a group. Let's do a group. Next up at Spencer County Elementary, Mr. Jared Scott, year 3. Jared, is that correct? Yeah. Dog years, right? Mr. Scott does a great job at Spencer County, pushing that building, really giving it vision and direction, and is instructionally focused every single day. And you never see him sitting in his office, which is a good thing. So next up we have computer delay. Miss Sarah Steele, her new name. I joked at a principal. Yeah, give her a hand for that. I told her it sounded like a wrestling name, Sarah Steve. Sarah does a fantastic job. Year 3 for you as well at Taylorsville Elementary. Outstanding growth over the last 12 months at Taylorsville. We're very proud of the work Ms. Steele and her team have done. Very lucky to have her there. Next up is Mr. Mercer, and I think Ms. Demian is here on his behalf. Ms. Demian, come on up. We're going to embarrass you. I'm going to let you two negotiate. Ms. Erin Demian is our assistant principal at Spencer County Middle School. Mr. Mercer is actually at a ball game tonight, had a conflict, but both of them do a great job. Spencer County Middle School is always on the move. It's a busy, busy place, very focused on instruction and students and culture, and we're very, very happy and lucky to have both of them. Last but not least, Mr. Mike Phillips, year 3.5 for you, I think. Spencer County High School has done a great job, puts students first every single day. So we're lucky to have Mr. Phillips. Let's bunch in, act like we like each other.
Oh, that's good.
All right, give our principals a round of applause. All right, I'm going to go off script a little bit, and I cried. This is going to be tough. Tonight we have a last. Tonight is the last board meeting for a very special person in the room who's been doing this for 29 years. Our Director of Human Resources, Ms. Diana Thomas, is retiring effectively November 1. I asked her this morning, I said, Diana, is today the day you're going to tell me this nonsense really isn't true, that you're really just playing a joke and you're just going to keep working? She said, no, sir. And she was very happy about that. No shame in saying it that way. I remember a class that I took. I can't remember when it was, but it was in one of my multitude of things that I had to get. And a guy named Blake Hazelton said, you'll know you have a great HR director when they put the human resources. And I'll always remember that about Diana. Very special, very good to our people. So join me tonight in honoring Miss Diana Thomas, 29 years. Oh, yes, you do that. Congratulations. Man, I keep sliding the table. Yes.
It's hard to move on now. Okay. Michelle, we didn't have anyone sign up. Oops. Yeah.
Do we have any citizens or
Michelle.
delegate to speak? Michelle, anybody here to speak?
Okay, so we can move on now to 7, academic success and student achievement.
We have an outstanding group from Taylorsville Elementary here to speak to us tonight. Ms. Steele, are you kicking us off? All right.
So the board asked this year when we did academic spotlights to really think about how we're utilizing profile of a learner. And so in the spring, we got the grant to incorporate STEM into our classrooms. And so the entire school has benefited. And so I couldn't think of any other way. I wanted to spotlight STEM, but they do every single profile competency. I mean, on the daily. So tonight, I'm going to let Ms. Kidwell, who is my STEM teacher, take it over. We have a presentation for you just to kind of highlight some of the things we've already done. If you haven't got into her classroom, I'm telling you, you have to go. She connects it to literacy. She connects it to math. The kids absolutely love it. So after this short little presentation, Ms. Kidwell is going to take over, but then we have kiddos here that are actually going to give you a glimpse of what they do in their classrooms daily. Okay.
I am a great citizen because I make this for hurricane victims. It is a machine that will grab this stuff and put it in the bucket, the grease, and then after we grind it.
So you can just kind of see, that's just a highlight. I'm telling you, it is phenomenal to watch these kids. Obviously it's reaped benefits because my son is there. And to hear him talk about what he does and the level of engagement that happens in that classroom in that 15 minutes is unreal, even as a 7-year-old. So I definitely would love for you guys to come in and check it out. Like I said, they're going to give you a small taste of it tonight so you can kind of see how many competencies they use daily at TES in our STEM lab. But anyway, we'll let Ms. Kidwell talk now.
Can you pull that and go on to the next slide? Thank you. So, hello, I am Jenny Kidwell, and that was very kind of her. But one thing that Miss Steele does do so well at TES is she empowers us. So I feel like I'm an empowered learner every day, learning something new. She listens to my crazy ideas. I was like, I want that going, I want this. So she was very, very supportive of everything I wanted to do. So one thing that I did last week, we did the rollaway pumpkin with my 4th graders, and we were going to be a problem solver and an active collaborator by engineering a stand to hold Marla's pumpkin. So go ahead, yeah. So you can see that I start with a problem. So we start with the literature, we have a problem, and then we go over the materials they're going to have and how they're going to be successful and all of their parameters. So in this instance, they have 8 minutes to plan and construct your own pumpkin stand to save Marla's pumpkin from rolling away. And you have materials such as the planning sheet, the straws, I forgot the rulers, tape, scissors, and then we have the pumpkin. And then I go through the design process, which is very similar kind of to the profile of learner with problem solving, but then we extend that. How do you improve it? And actually we were just talking about that. Like, what if it doesn't work tonight? And I was like, it's okay. That's what you do. You evaluate, you improve. So we have some leaders today, and I told Ms. Steele when I was putting the video and stuff together, I was like, I feel like empowered learner is kind of the top one, and it encompasses everything else, because that's our job, isn't it, as educators, to empower those kids. And I want to empower them to be problem solvers. I want to empower them to be effective communicators, and so on. So when I think about empowered learner, I feel like I do that all day, every day with everything else. So we have, if you guys want to come up here, I had one that was not able to make, two that were not able to make it, but we have Carly Simon, fourth grader, Amelia Riggs, Anna McGiffin, and Lincoln Drake. And Anna, did you want to say? Amelia told me today she wanted to speak. You don't want to now, you changed your mind. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. They are going to do a STEM activity, but you are going to be their partner. So come on up, you all go up and find your partner. So we have one short, so we're going to put Lincoln, he's going in the middle here. You wanna go? No? Okay.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all.
No, I just on the other side.
Right in here. Okay,
You wanna go on the
awesome.
other side? You wanna go work on the other side? Yeah, come around, go around. And just go around. Yeah. Okay, so, all right, first slide. All right, so you have 8 minutes to.
Come on up.
Usually I give them time to plan first, but I didn't want to spend too much time. So you have 8 minutes to plan and create, be a problem solver, active collaborator by engineering a stand for Marla's pumpkin. And when you're finished, we're going to test it.
Okay.
All right. And you can take to the table, you can cut, and you, in the class only, let them have 4 people to take. But
All right, sorry,
I'm gonna let you guys. All right.
What I did, me and my partner, who was also a fourth grader, we were working on this in class, and we cut one of these and we made like a rectangle and made like a base.
Okay.
And then we made like
Okay, all right, let's do that.
some kids got it.
Oh, okay, that's even a better idea. So you're gonna cut them in half, so we have them
Because I tried
like that. All right, so like that.
with no supports.
And
So
do
if I
I
use the
take
full-
one?
You tell us everything.
You'll show me exactly how to do that.
You need tape. How about I get you tape?
Is that too long? Okay.
Things together so that we'll have a base for the pumpkin stand to start at.
Okay. So use any amount of tape you want.
Yes.
What do you got?
You want that side?
So you say base, that's the part that's gonna be on the tape.
Yes, and this is going to be
Yeah.
we are supposed to be helping you. Everything else will be like connected to the base.
You say
Yeah, that's okay.
So like
Like that?
we would run like these at each end and then it's
Put it
gonna
on the corner and connect it to the table.
Okay.
Oh, just connect it to the table?
Yeah.
That's right, good idea.
And you say
Good
it's not
idea.
a contest.
Like that?
Yeah.
You'll be in there.
Upside down? Okay.
I think you'll probably
Together like-
Okay. That's what I needed to know.
That's the best thing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what
So
color.
how high? One,
I got 5 minutes, start
one,
building
a
it
whole
up.
one or a half one? Yeah, let's do half. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be small, it just holds them up.
Should I just tape it like, go ahead and tape it down? Okay, let's just keep taping them down, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll bend, yeah, you got it.
try to get something about the same width as like.
Get them a little longer.
Which, I mean, I know we were. And then,
Same length as this one.
yeah.
See, I got you.
How many of those do you need? How many of those do you need? 3.
I wonder,
Something that's active in other classes, which
another triangle.
All right, we're
I
building it
see.
now.
We're up here.
Now,
those classes.
All right, well, let's get these done. You cut here, cut a few of those straws.
But in class,
Those are
mine
the
is
shorter
starting to like
All right, yeah, let's get these the same
as the
height.
weekend sat
1,
there.
2,
So
and here. So cut that one just a little bit so those are even.
So from there, we gotta do tops.
It's a little taller.
So when I tape it on the bottom like that, try to just wrap them, we probably need a couple pieces for that.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe like.
There's more right there.
all
yeah,
right,
so
so
that I
do
can
that, and let's do that, what you did on the other one.
hammock,
We need to.
but
Do you think they all
also
need to be the same size?
Oh, I see
Yeah,
what
probably
you're
so. So
doing, you're
it'd be-
doubling it. That's even, that's
the top because
Okay,
it's
yeah, I think that'll work. We can do that like 3 times maybe.
Yeah.
Like on this right on top. Okay. So cut some more of that.
So cut one that side. Now, can we do this? Wait,
We have 3 minutes and 46 seconds.
and take them to the
fast.
We probably make sure they're the same size as these.
Start taping all the
Make the hammock with tape.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we can start the hammock, we need to add a little bit of like support or part of the middle, so that in case like the hammock isn't strong enough, I
Some options.
her name
Is
is.
that on the side or on top?
Absolutely.
Like that?
She learned what she knows. She started her table. Okay. I like that, but I always like Taylorsville Elementary School because that's where my daughter went. So I'm a tiger myself. She might have called me a tiger. You know what that is?
We have 2 minutes and 26 seconds. There you go.
Tiger mom. What's that? Okay.
unlike I in the third grade,
How come?
I was thinking.
Okay. And in there. Okay, in the middle. Okay.
Green. Is that shoes? You should get shoes in there.
She's got that.
She gets into that stuff pretty good. All right, so that's gonna hold the way.
Well, that's, you know, it won't matter. Everybody.
Yeah, there you go.
Save it? Save it just like that.
All right.
There we go.
How are we doing on time?
Oh, man. This is taking
There.
down.
We gotta hurry. Oh, no.
It's pretty awesome. Oh, I see what you're doing.
And it could be long.
The one that
I'm gonna take these three together. You work on it.
I
Okay.
because I'm not really sure if the last time Wednesday has survived that.
So it had to hold the French pumpkin.
So you can take
But
like the
like
ends or what?
STEM class for me,
Take the ends like that?
it had to like not get broken until
Oh,
today.
let's do that in. All right.
And I think the pumpkin
This thing to stand up straight.
this to probably
Wrap
be a
that, yeah.
little stronger.
I got you.
And then last time I did it, I
Yeah,
built
yeah.
like a tape structure.
I got
Okay.
15
So
seconds.
the record, Pete.
Yeah, let's do it. We got 15 seconds. Just enough. Let's just do that.
Now,
Put this together so that this one's kind of felt like it was going to
I'll give you all a few more seconds. Some of you are still finishing.
yeah, we need a little.
Twist, isn't it? I think that's our time.
It is, just so
Oh,
you finish.
that's a good idea.
Thank you.
That's a good idea.
Like
Is there a
up here.
smaller
Can we
one?
take that like that?
Here, let me see.
But that's not very heavy.
Let's get this.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna do that.
All right, are we about ready to test?
Oh,
We need more time.
All right, you need.
All right, if you're ready, go ahead and let's see. If you're ready,
I think so.
all right, hold on, let's see if it works.
okay.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
All right, let's try
This is the one.
it. She's not too sure about it, are you, Delia?
Oh.
Oh.
It wasn't taped to the table.
What would you do differently next time?
It wasn't taped to, like, it wouldn't stick to the table.
What is it? Okay, okay. Gotcha. That's good, that was almost there. All right, Nina, see you about ready?
Oh,
Oh, it didn't work. What would you do differently?
Okay.
Uh-huh. So maybe more in the middle?
so we don't have to tape that on the top?
And that's what I try to teach them. It's okay not to get it right the first time. It's okay to go. Oh, there you go. Yeah, just make some improvements. See how mine do it.
Don't ask me to do my hand.
One more in there.
I think it's a great idea. That's great. All right, Carly, you ready?
Yeah, we're close. We're very close.
Are you all gonna make improvements, Amelia? Okay,
I think it's gonna work.
Improvement.
Do I need to put it here? Let's do this.
Here, like add like more, like structure on the sides.
There you go.
Now try it.
All right, I'm gonna let you try. Try it. Oh, they're, what are you doing?
Okay, Carly, you gonna try it? You wanna try it?
Try.
I think that one's gonna work.
Go.
Pretty good.
All right, guys, if you all want to put all your materials back in the
No.
bag, you kind of connect your mess.
That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Just put the bag on.
Have a wood candle pumpkin.
There it is. Listen, she was one of the first ones to get it at,
I tried to make it a triangle this
triangle.
time.
Well, they had more time, so they had 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So, because I had to rush her. Yeah, I rushed her.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Okay, here. Thank you very much.
So you can just see that's kind of like just a glimpse into a 15-minute lesson. If they don't get finished, they circle back to it the next week. They go once a week through our special area rotation. But it's truly amazing to watch these kids and their creativity and the amount, just going through a process of getting feedback and figuring out, oh, this is what I need to do differently, working with a partner. It's truly amazing what happens in there every day. So,
Do you have any questions for me?
No questions. No questions, but a comment. Thank you, both students and Ms. Kidwell, for being here. It's a great job. We appreciate the hard work that you guys are doing.
Yeah, a lot of fun. So I'm lucky to do it. Okay, guys.
Thank you.
The triangle, you failed me.
listen, do you want to take it home to it again? I do it. Here. Here.
That's nice, Joe. Okay, we're ready for
slid in there.
Ready to move on to superintendent's report?
Yes, ma'am. Again, thank you to our students and staff from TES for sharing with us tonight. That was fantastic. Superintendent report for the month of October. A couple dates and reminders. I just wanted to point out that students are off next Tuesday, November 5th for Election Day. Our regular meeting of the board in November falls on Monday, November 25th, which is Thanksgiving week. I thought I was wrong about that, but that's correct. And our students are off for Thanksgiving break from November 27th to the 29th. Sharing with the board some meeting information, as I always do. Our most recent principals meeting was held on October 9th. Program directors meeting on October 23rd, and you can see our instructional coaches, assistant principals, and new teachers meet in the next couple of days. My formatting got off there when we printed this. Wanted to remind the board that the Commissioner of Education will be here on Friday, November 8th. He will be starting his time at Spencer County Middle School and then walking over to Spencer County Elementary before he leaves. Very excited to have the commissioner here to highlight some of the work that we're doing. Similar stuff, actually, that we shared this evening from TES. My out-of-district travel in the last month has been very light. I went to a training on October 2nd over at OVEC in Middletown to learn about Google Data Looker. Which was very different, and but that here nor there, that's a whole nother conversation. Wanted to share with the board, we had our first monthly progress meeting for ELC next door. As you guys remember, we accepted a bid from Churchill McGee. They are on site doing a great job. So we met with Churchill McGee, Sherman Carter Barnhart, and Shrout Tate Wilson, along with myself and Mr. Prather. The project is on time and under budget right now, but it's month one. So hopefully that'll be the case in coming months. I want to share with the board formally some information about a potential makeup day. As you know, we had to call off school on Friday, September 27th. What we've done so far is kind of look at what we can do. We have very limited options in our calendar. One of those days is actually Friday, December 20th of 2024. We polled our staff to make sure we would not have coverage or staffing issues on December 20th. And as you can see, the raw data there, I think we would be okay. So that's something I will loop back to in action items. I did compare that day to the coinciding day from last year from 23-24. You can see from the total absences, which were 33, the absences that needed a substitute, the absences that did not. We would be actually under that at this point, but I'm sure between now and the 20th, we'll have more folks who wouldn't be at work. So that's something we'll come back to as an action item. I just wanted to share that with the board and the raw data that came with that. This evening, we have a work session. I would like to talk to the board about a special called option in November to discuss more in depth our Spencer County Elementary, Spencer County Middle School project. Now that Alliance is on the job, touch base with Alliance, start to look at options for getting it back out for bid, which we hope to do here sometime during the winter months. Additionally, we would invite RSA to the table to talk about our current and future bonding, as obviously that'll be a big piece of that project as we hopefully get that back on the rails. And last but not least, my ILP artifacts for the month come from Standard 2, which is instructional leadership. You see the standard there and the performance indicators that come with that. I think I've shared with you 8 different artifacts at this point. Leadership under the professional learning community umbrella, 2 book studies that we're doing with leadership folks across our district, some work that I've done with the high school with our CERT tool, which is the college equipped readiness tool. The work that I do with principals directly on PGPs, both for themselves and for all of their staff. Site visits that I do with principals that are instructionally focused. Selection of what's called an HQIR. A year ago, I didn't really know what that meant, but Miss Butler and I went down that path together. That was a great process. Both elementary schools now have an HQIR for reading K through 5, which we're very excited about. And continuing to define, refine, and finish our district instructional non-negotiables, which we are referring to as our roadmap. And then lastly, our role group structure, which allows us to be very instructionally focused. So the evidence and artifacts, if you will, that I have at this point. And that's it for me for the month of October.
Any questions, comments?
Were we to schedule a date, or do we have that date on November the?
We need to talk about it. I thought we could talk about it in executive session. And
Oh,
if we,
okay.
If we decide to schedule
Okay.
it, we could do it after we come out.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's move on. If there are no questions or comments, to action with discussion. Everybody's had a chance to review the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the September 30th, 2024 and the October 8th, 2024 minutes as presented? Lynn, do I have a second? Aaron? All in favor? Unanimous? Let's move on to seating the calendar committee.
Mr. Rucker will join us at the podium. He's got a number of things on the agenda tonight. But each year, Mr. Rucker also serves as our Director of Pupil Personnel, and one of the other duties as assigned with that task is our calendar committee. Mr. Rucker?
Well, hello, friend. So one of you tonight will have the distinguished honor of serving as the board member on the calendar committee. And so to select that, we've arranged a couple of items for you to take care of. But we do need a board member to graciously volunteer to join us in this process. As you recall, last year we went to a 2-year calendar cycle. Year 1, we create the full calendar, and the second year we create major dates. So coming into this cycle, all of our major dates for fall, winter, and spring break have already been set. It'll be looking at the individual small DPD days and things of that nature, bringing them into the calendar, and then setting those major breaks for the year following. So in the past, I've had lots of company on this committee, and so one of the things I'm going to ask you all tonight is to kind of talk amongst yourselves and go ahead and take that leap, and one of you join me on the committee for one more year. You'll take a look down. Chris Lemp is going to be our second parent in that blank that's there on your place, and then Adriana Marshall is going to be representing the Tourism Commission as the final community member, and that will round out our committee.
Well, I think I stepped up last year. We had someone exit out, and I believe I stepped in to fill out that. So I feel like I've done my duty.
It gets me right here that you're trying to get away.
Yes. Aaron or Tim, are you all interested?
I did it recently. I thought it was last year. Maybe I was here before. And it was good. I'm happy to do it again unless, Aaron, you know.
I'm up for re-election. I might not even be here, so. You can do it.
I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
Excellent. Pencil you in right here.
There we go.
All righty. With that, I would ask you all to go forth and seat said committee.
Okay, let me see where, do we have a recommendation here?
We do. Approve the calendar committee for the school year 25-26 as presented. Note that the makeup of our committee meets the requirements outlined in KRS 158070.
Do I have a motion as stated?
I'll make that motion stated.
Lynn, do I have a second? Tim, all in favor? Unanimous? Let's move on to the KETS offer.
So we get KETS money in 2 lumps per year. So we have our first KETS offer of assistance in the amount of $34,334. Approving that amount tonight means we will meet both this offer of assistance and the second in full. That's an obligation from the board. Mr. Rucker, anything to add to that for KETS? Okay.
Any questions or comments? And your recommendation is?
Approve the acceptance of the KETS offer and assistance of $34,334 as presented. Note that approving the KETS offer indicates our willingness to match the entire offer. Those funds have been included in the working budget approved by the board in September.
Do I have a motion as stated? Aaron, do I have a second? Tim, all in favor? Unanimous? Okay. Let's move on down to BG1 approval.
So our first BG1 to discuss tonight is BG1 25166, which is Spencer County Board Office Addition and Renovation. Mr. Rucker?
So we have been working with this site, this building that you're in for some time now. We've also since acquired the next neighboring property at 106 Reeser. And then we have together been talking about plans to shift the parking for this building and that building to the other side of that backyard. That's going to require us to put a vestibule entrance on this building that faces that parking lot. And in the midst of that, we've kind of taken a look at some of the long-term pieces that were originally designed for this building for insulation that never came to fruition. If you walk around the outside, you'll see a lot of exposed concrete, a concrete block that's out there that has never been fully insulated. Originally, when this building was designed, it was supposed to come back with a brick veneer around it. We kind of took a look at that with our engineers at Strout Tate Wilson and our architects at the Sherman Carter Barnhart, and decided that maybe a more economical solution to that would be to come in with some hard foam insulation, and then to match a metal siding similar to that's over at the ELC project that's going on there, and be very close to the color that you have put on this building that's next door, and then the roof that's right up above it. And then looking at addressing the roof and the roof line and the roof itself on the shingle portion. You guys have already invested in the roof that's above your head. And, you know, when you kind of look at two rough roofs that are sitting next to each other, it's hard to tell which one's in worse shape. But when you put a brand new roof next to a little bit of a rough roof, it starts to show its flaws very quickly. And so looking at both this roof and the roof next door, the parking lot project, and then the ADA accessibility for that building that will serve as a diverse learning center, as well as updating the HVAC systems in the diverse learning center.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments?
That's a lot.
Yes, it is. Do we have a recommendation?
Approve the BG1 for 106 Reeser Avenue property as presented.
Do I have a motion as stated? Aaron, do I have a second? Tim, any more comments or questions? All in favor? Unanimous? Let's move on to E, the revised BG1.
Revision to BG 24149, which is downtown campus roofs, and BG 24160, which is the ELC renovation, essentially allows us to bond those projects and begin to get cash back to us. Mr. Rucker, a full explanation of that one.
Yes, so BG 24149 is the roofing project that took place here on the downtown campus. BG 24160 is the second floor renovation at the Early Learning Center. We paid for those up front with cash. Now that we are moving through that portion of the roofs being completed and coming to a substantial completion date for the ELC, what this revision does is allow us to put in what the building actually costs, not what we thought it was going to cost, and go the same way with the roof, and then be able to issue bonds from the restricted fund to be able to pull our cash on hand back so that we can begin the project over at Spencer County Elementary School and Spencer County Middle School.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Do we have a recommendation, Dr. Foster?
Recommend approval of revised BG 24149 and BG 24160 to reflect post-bid cost and funding through bond issue as presented.
Do I have a motion as stated?
I'll make that motion as stated.
Lynn, do I have a second? Aaron, all in favor? Unanimous? Let's move on to bonding resolution.
So we have RSA with us tonight, going to join Mr. Rucker here at the podium to talk about the paying for the roofing project here with a sale of a bond, which traditionally used to require this meeting to adjourn and to convene our finance corporation. Now there's an option under general obligation bonds where we don't have to do that. So, sir, we appreciate you being here. So you're going to walk us through this.
Absolutely. Again, thank you again, Dr. Foster. Brian Skinner with RSA Advisors, your municipal advisor. KD calls us the fiscal agent. You're right, there was a law change recently where school districts can now issue something called general obligation bonds. Historically, schools in Kentucky have issued bonds through a school district finance corporation. They haven't had this ability. This is how cities and counties in the state issue bonds, where the actual entity puts your full patron credit behind the bonds. In theory, this could save you a little bit of money, but for sure it saves a lot of time and effort, adjourning and coming back into it and doing a finance corporation makes things a little bit cleaner. So we've got a resolution in front of you. Do you want me to go ahead and read that, Dr. Foster? And then
Please do.
Yes,
answer the
please.
question? All right, so this is a summary and notice of adoption of resolution. The Board of Education of Spencer County, Kentucky, the Board of Education at a regular meeting on October 28, 2024, passed and adopted a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the Board of Education, Spencer County, Kentucky, the Board authorizing and approving the issuance of general obligation bonds series 2024 in the principal amount of $3,240,000, subject to an increase or decrease of up to $325,000 of the bonds, the proceeds of which are to be used for a public school building project, authorizing the establishment of certain funds to provide for the collection of, to the extent required, the proceeds of a direct annual tax on all taxable property within the school district, in addition to all other taxes, authorizing the execution of the bonds and the disbursement of the proceeds thereof, authorizing the investment of funds pursuant to KRS 66.480, providing for the delegation by the board of the authority to the secretary of the board to determine certain matters relating to the bonds, and authorizing such other documents, agreements, and certificates necessary or required for the issuance of the bonds. So that's the general summary of that. I keep reading, and we don't have to.
I think you're good.
I'm
Okay,
good.
you're all good now? Okay.
Yes.
I think everybody's got it, but answer any questions on that. I'll go ahead and just throw it out one thing, it's very similar to what we've done in the past. You pay it with the same funds, it comes out of your same bonding potential. I have to answer any questions.
Brian, one thing I did want to correct, we have a note from RSA that projects our bonding potential to be at $43,645,000 at the end of the summer of 2024. We're projected to be at 47 million. Is that the end of the calendar year? Do you know that off the top of your head?
We should be,
47 will be pretty close to July 1.
The end of the school year. Got it.
school year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was 43.6 million summer 2024, 47 million summer of 2025.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 43 is for fiscal year 25. Yes.
Gotcha. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure the board had a chance to understand that part, our
Yeah, we
growth.
still have plenty of bonding potential. Like I said, we've got other projects you're looking at now. Personally, I'm glad to hear you got the construction manager on there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have any questions or comments? Dr. Foster, your recommendation, please?
Recommend approving the resolution to issue $3,240,000 in general obligation bonds to cover the costs associated with the downtown campus roofing project, BG 24149, and the ELC renovation, BG 24160.
Do I have a motion as stated?
Hold on,
Yes. Go right
the
ahead.
numbers, I'm back up for a moment, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I didn't speak up fast enough a moment ago. So the bonding is covering the BG1, the revised BG1s that we just approved,
Correct, sir.
which if I'm looking at is 3.2 million and some change.
Mhm.
Okay.
Which is in total would be roof replacement on the downtown campus plus the ELC renovation.
Yes, sir.
So we have been using cash on hand for that. So essentially, we were putting that cash back.
And one other question, which I apologize for not asking this a moment ago, but it just came to me as I was looking back through this. We talked about updated costs in the revised BG1 versus the original projected costs. What was the difference?
There was not a difference on the roofing project. The actual cost revision on the ELC was a little lower than our original estimate. So we revised that number. With that, we also included, we had kind of debated whether to include any furnishing package into that to be able to put, the equipment in the second floor. With that lower bid, we were able to bring that back into the package and still stay under our total budget.
You don't hear that
Yes.
a lot.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That is fine. Do I have a motion as stated?
I will make the motion. Stacey.
Tim, do I have a second?
Second.
Lynn, all in favor? Unanimous? Let's move on to G, repeater purchase. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming.
Call Mr. Chester to the podium to discuss our repeater issue. If you guys remember, we talked about our transportations department's communication system and some challenges we had been having. So Mr. Chester has dug into this and has some options for us, cheaper than what he told us the last time.
Yay.
All right, we're on a track to save money tonight, hopefully. As long as you stay in a good mood, we'll be all right.
That's right.
All right, so back in August, our repeater went down. It was about 10 to 15 years old. So I've taken some time to kind of dig into what our options are. The first quote that we had gotten back from RCS was $92,000. That was for a 2-repeater system using what we call simulcast. So that way we had good range across the entire district. So Mr. Rucker and I spoke with local emergency management to see kind of what they're doing. If it works for them, there's no reason it shouldn't work for us. So I kind of revisited what our options were. My proposal tonight is to buy 1 repeater through RCS. And the quote that you have in front of you includes the repeater and install. I was informed that the water tower that it currently is housed at is coming down in the near future. So I think now is the time to move it rather than later. The quote for just the repeater install and reconfiguring our current radios from analog to digital. So apparently part of our issue was our radios are still running in analog in 2024, and those need to be switched to digital. I am hopeful that that will close some of the communication gap that we have at a much cheaper cost. So the repeater is $18,250 for itself. It's about $6,200 for install. That's the tower crew to come out with the crane, get on the water tower, install all new stuff right up the hill from the bus garage. And then $1,280 to reconfigure all of our existing radios from analog to digital. The second quote you have in front of you is from Sunny Communications. This is kind of where I dug around to see what we could do a little bit cheaper. So the quote has 2 different style radios on it. You have a portable and a mobile. One is a handheld, like what I would keep with me in the truck, or if I respond to an accident, something like that. And then the mobile is similar to what's in our buses. I got 2 different quotes. We do have a few older radios that cannot be switched from analog to digital. So that's what that quote is for, is to replace those radios so that we can all run digital. So we came from $92,000 to $31,901. And that is what I'm asking for authorization to purchase tonight.
So the radio replacement is replacing roughly a dozen radios?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I estimate it very high. I'm not sure exactly how many we're going to have until I can actually hook them up to program them. Through Sunny Communications, if I purchase the radios through them, they are going to give me the software so that I can get in and start doing the software for our radios ourselves. That way we're not paying a third party to do it. So it's not saving us necessarily right now, but it will over the next few years because I'll be able to do it in my office instead of sending those out.
Nice.
As part of this project.
So we'll have the same or similar capabilities as Spencer County Emergency Medical.
So we spoke with the fire department to see what they do. The location in which we are going to be moved to is where they are.
Okay.
So we kind of we sat down with Nathan to kind of see what they did when they had to switch.
Yep.
And what our options were. And this is kind of where we landed.
Okay.
So hopefully with this set up correctly, we can get another 10 to 15 years and we won't have to talk about a repeater for some time, I hope.
Is it full coverage, you think?
So I should have included the maps, and they've changed so much. I have to look at the right one. So they will give color-coded maps to show what the expected coverage is. I think looking at what we currently have compared to what we're going to by switching to digital, it will close almost every gap we have. When I spoke with them, they seem to think by switching to digital that we'll be able to talk all the way out to like North Bullitt High School, Anderson County High School, Washington, Nelson. So on the closer field trips, I have a radio at home. So even late at night when they're on those field trips, I'll still have communication with them at all times, which was our ultimate goal.
That's great.
So
that is great.
We're smooth sailing. If approved tonight, then I'll start the process in the near future, and then I'll update you all as we move along with that project.
And save us money in
A lot
the
of
future
money.
too.
And
Okay.
so, Mr. Chester, just so we point this out specifically, when you did your transportation update in September, your projection was roughly 92,000 for a
Correct.
2-repeater system. So a single repeater, but transitioning from analog to digital in total will be under 35.
Yeah, maybe the number I have right now, give or take, roughly will be about $32,000. And then Greg's not here, but at the bottom he did put that it would be in the working budget amendment. We didn't budget exactly in the beginning because we weren't sure exactly. In there.
You said give or take. Do we need to give?
I would say
a little
under
more?
35,000. These quotes, I asked a little bit high just to make sure we have wiggle room.
Okay.
I don't foresee anything major
35,
happening between
you
now and
think
then.
we'll do
So I would
that?
say authorization under 35.
What is the timing of the work if it's approved tonight? Is it something they can get to relatively soon?
So the changing from analog to digital can be done within a school day. to the building, so we have to physically hook up to every radio. The repeater, I would say, is probably a few months out just from the order date. At this point in the year, probably what my recommendation would be for them, once we purchase the repeater, I would look at an install date of probably spring break.
Okay.
I don't want to have to install it while we're in school and take the chance of it not working, that day.
Absolutely.
So I'll probably push that to April.
Okay, that sounds good. Any more questions or comments? Dr. Foster, we have a recommendation.
Approve the purchase and installation of a new repeater and the cost of converting the current analog communication system to digital for our district transportation department. This would utilize a majority of existing radio equipment and require purchasing 6 additional radios, and I believe that's actually 12. So I'm gonna amend that. Note that the total cost would be approximately $35,000, which would come from our district contingency funds.
Okay. Do I have a motion as stated? Tim, do I have a second?
I guess I will.
Aaron, thank you. All in favor? Unanimous? Okay, let's move on to H, consideration of surplus property offer.
Yes, back in April of 2022, this board authorized with Board Order 211, Acting Superintendent Mr. Abel to dispose of the old central office buildings at 205 and 207 West Main Street. And we have an option to sell those. Mr. Rucker?
Yes, so we've shown the building probably a dozen times since you all declared it surplus. Earlier this month, we received a full cash offer that met the appraisals that you all had commissioned. And so we began working through another KDE checklist to get to tonight, get through to actually get set a closing date. This is the next to last piece, would be your all's official approval or acceptance of that offer tonight. If you choose to accept, then we will submit the board order from tonight along with Board Order 211 from the previous board meeting back to KDE, and then they would release to us a provisional letter of disposal. Then we can close, and then once we have a deed transfer, we can send that back to KDE and be done with those buildings for the remainder of our lifetime.
Is the potential purchaser aware of the obstacles of working with KD?
Yes, ma'am. We've been through that process with them, and they understand.
Okay.
That's good. Any other questions or comments? We have a recommendation, Dr. Foster.
Recommend accepting the offer to sell surplus property at 205 and 207 Main Street for the full appraised value of the 2 buildings. This action will authorize the superintendent and board chair to fulfill all required steps with KDE and close on those properties.
Do I have a motion as stated?
I'll make that motion as stated.
Lynn, do I have a second? Aaron? All in favor? Unanimous? Let's move on to I, consideration of the school year 24-25 calendar amendment.
Yes, probably one of the least fun things about this job is dealing with snow days and calendar stuff, but it's a necessary evil. We had to call a non-school day on Friday, September 27th due to forecasted wind. I know there are a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks in the world in 2024, but that appeared to be the right call. We had power outages in 4 of our schools. At the time that dismissal would have occurred, I believe winds were north of 40 miles an hour, which would have been pretty scary. So what we did was look at the possibility of Friday, December 20th. Our students and staff have a nice Christmas break. They would have gotten Friday the 20th, 2 full weeks and 3 uninterrupted weekends, and Monday, January 6th. Monday, January 6th was already a staff day. I did not want to mess with that day. So we looked at Friday, the 20th as probably our only option between now and the end of the school. So I think most of our days will fall after school if that happens. So we polled staff. You can see there, we really don't get above a typical day of coverage for subs. So at this point, I would like to recommend that we switch December 20th to a student attendance day. It would give us about 6.5 weeks to notify families and make that change. Obviously, our staff is now aware, and that would get our 1 day made up. I get that folks will probably point out winter's not happened yet, which it hasn't. So we still obviously have winter weather to get through, and anything can happen. But I believe making up a day when we get to May of 2025 with graduation and construction, every day will matter. So I think it's probably the most painless option at this point.
Any comments, question?
And we got to get Emma graduated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to get graduated. I won't say ASAP, but
I understand.
Okay.
college started.
And your formal recommendation, Dr. Foster?
Yes, approve changing December 2024 to a student attendance day as a makeup day for Friday, September 27th, 2024.
Do I have a motion as stated? Aaron? Do I have a second?
Second.
Lynn? All in favor? Unanimous. Move on to action by consent. We've all had a chance to review. So can I have a motion to approve action by consent
I'll
as
make that
presented?
motion. It's-
Lynn, so I have a second.
Go ahead, Deb. I'll second.
Tim?
Yes.
All in favor? Unanimous. Let's move on to board communications. Do we have?
The one thing I do want to point out in communications under C, it's 2 letters, that's kind of weird. CH is a summary of COVID-related grant awards and expenditures. One of the things that Mr. Murphy shared with the board, which I think is a very nice piece of information, is a summary of how our district spent COVID monies. So he has a nice breakdown for you, everything we were awarded, everything that was spent. You will see we forfeited a whopping 0.06% of our COVID funds. I think we spent the money very wisely and obviously spent dang near all of it. So just wanted to point that out to you and appreciate Ms. Schaus and Mr. Murphy's hard work to make sure you guys got a chance to see where all that money went to.
So I do have one thing. So recently, I'm not sure if you're probably aware, but we just had our Spencer County High School choir in the fall. Oh, Lordy. Well, we had our concert in the fall, and then the following Tuesday, the middle school had their concert, and we had a lot of issues regarding like sounding systems and different things like that. So I asked Miss Cruz she's the middle school choir director. I asked her to send me a couple things that were kind of like wrong with the auditorium. And I know a lot of community events are held there. It's not just the arts thing, but I do believe that our arts program, we're phenomenal, in my opinion. I mean, last year we had the most people make All-State that's ever made it in Spencer County High School history. And then we had the most people make GSA this year or last year in Spencer County High School history, which is Governor's School for the Arts, for anybody who's not sure, but which I did too. Pat on my back. But so first, she said that we need to remove the stage pockets and relocate the XLR panels, excuse me. These are the things on the floor where we plug our mics into. We were having a lot of issues with mics and stuff, and we had a lot of soloists too that we like to shine and point out. So that was nice. And then we say that they should never been placed on the floor because they collect dust and now are being damaged by water from the ceiling. There are 12 that we have, and half of them maybe work sometimes. It depends on the day. It really does. Next, the soundboard is starting to show its age, with it being almost 20 years old, I believe. And then the speakers are aging in the auditorium as well as with the same age issue. They're being, our technology is way out of date. The quality is not like it should be, and it's just not showcasing across the auditorium like it should be. The lights, we have many burnout specialty lights that have not been replaced or looked at. I'm not the best, she says I'm not the best expert as to what exactly is out there and why we haven't been replaced, but just know that some of the overhead lights, like the colored lights and things that we would use for different shows or different just features, I guess, to highlight aspects, they're all kind of burnt out and not really in use anymore. One of the number one things that we say is probably the chairs. We've had a big problem with the chairs. They're very, very old. Those things are rusted and everything else. They're very old, and the middle schoolers are not kind to them sometimes, so that doesn't help anything. But the number one thing beyond the chairs is probably the panels on the floor. They're the only things that really connect to the whole system and makes everything up and running. And I know that we have problems with the piano not being able to hear it. The audience couldn't hear it. And I know at the beginning of the middle school concert, the piano was completely shut out for the 6th graders before. They didn't have a piano the whole time. So that was kind of disappointing. It's just what some of those things where it was like, we had a bruised knee and we didn't put the Band-Aid on it then, and now we have a broken leg and we can't just put the Band-Aid on it now. You have to go and do the full surgery. Yeah. So that was, I heard that analogy and I thought that was pretty well spoken. That's just my little thing, because I know it's not just only used for the arts, it's also used for community events, different things like Jerome McTier, one of our seniors, for his senior project, he's putting on a talent show for the community. So that's one of the things the auditorium is going to be used for. So just different things like that. I think it'd be very beneficial to look at trying to remodel those things, getting into how much that would cost for it. I'm not sure, but I know that Kelsey Evelyn, she was our past choir director at SCHS. She had a connection that I'm sure she would still let us use and let us know that he did a bunch of electrical stuff and all that. And he came out and gave a quote. I'm not sure what that would be, but I'm sure Marissa Cruz or JT Peters could tell you either of those.
Absolutely. So Emma, I appreciate you sharing that. One of the things I want you to know, there's a couple things you mentioned I got to look into, like stage pockets. I'm not really familiar with that.
Right.
But I can tell you seating, house lighting, and the theater lighting are definitely three things that will be included in our renovation. The other things I will check and make sure that are included, or at least we get prices to consider them. But you're right, from a standpoint of just simple pride and putting out a facility for our community,
Right.
we got to get it fixed and
Right.
completely. Actually, we hope to have that done already. The one thing that I will say, originally we were looking at the front half of the seating, so like from the center aisle down. But we've actually talked to Shrout Tate Wilson and then the architect about pricing the entire auditorium, just because now we've had a few seats in that second level, that second tier, that are starting to show their age as well. So appreciate you speaking up for that, because that is something that we need to address. And so hopefully we'll have some numbers here in the next month or two and be able to swing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to hear a student's voice.
Absolutely.
Yes. Any
To be
other?
listened to.
Yes. Any other comments on communication? Okay, we'll move.
Just a quick question. I know I wasn't able to, but did anyone attend the regional board meeting?
No, I did not make.
Just asking.
No, that's fine. Okay, we move on to dialogue and future agenda topics. Anyone?
So we are
Just-
not scheduled to have a work session in November, but we'll talk in executive session. Again, the need would be to talk about the elementary middle school project and have RSA back talk to us about bonding.
Okay. Oh, my goodness. Oh, dear. Wow, that changes. Let's move on. Have a motion to make the agenda part of the official board minutes.
Yeah, I'll second.
Aaron and Lynn, all in favor? Unanimous? Let's move on to executive session. Is there a motion to enter an executive session, KRS 61.810, Section 1, subsection B? Spencer County Board of Education will enter to an executive session for the purpose of deliberation on the future acquisition of sale of real property by the public agency. Spencer County Board of Education, in accordance with KRS 156.577, Section 4, subsection D, will be having preliminary discussions relating to the evaluation of the superintendent by the board or between the board and the superintendent prior to the summative evaluation is presented. And I feel like I missed a piece here. Is that the whole thing? Okay, do I have a motion as stated?
I'll make the motion as stated.
Tim, do I have a second?
Second.
Lynn, all in favor? Unanimous. Let's move on to executive session.
All right. I made a mess. Something's going on.
Okay.
That's smart.
Make sure I was- Okay. Is there a motion to return to is there a motion to return to open session?
I'll make that motion.
Tim? Aaron second? All in favor? Unanimous? There's no action from executive session, so we'll move on to 16. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:28 PM?
I'll make that motion.
Lynn, second? Aaron, all in favor? Unanimous? Good night, everyone. 8:28, there we go.
Let me take this off.
Yeah, I'll get it.